Hey, what's up everybody? Thanks for joining me for another video with your host Jag. So Bungie and Activision yesterday released their second DLC to the second installment, Destiny 2, yesterday, the Warmind, and it took players all of 10 minutes to complete the campaign. No, seriously, it wasn't 10 minutes. It was probably more like I'd say probably maybe an hour and a half, right? I mean, that's cool. The campaign was about 3 or 4 brand new missions. Yeah, so there's that. Once players were finished with that, they immediately took to doing quests, the escalation protocol, or as I like to call it, Court of Oryx Part 2. Yeah, so everybody's right now in a position where they're trying to get to the max level, or as high as they can get for the raid that comes out on Friday. I know the raid tends to be everybody's favorite part of these DLCs, and I want to start by saying this is not going to be a, oh, Destiny's so great video, right? There's a few things that I do want to talk about that I think need to be addressed, right? So the first one is, we know that the DLCs are going to be what they are, right? I have been, since before Destiny 2 came out, have been telling people, do not buy Destiny 2, right? And everyone will say, well, why wouldn't you buy? Because frankly, myself, people who share my same sentiments, knew that the game was going to be below par. If you paid attention during Destiny 1, Bungie and Activision got into a rut where they would just repeat the same actions over and over. And if you're someone who can spot patterns, then everything that's taking place in Destiny 2 right now has been very clear and apparent, and you knew it was coming from a mile away. Luckily for me, my copy of Destiny 2 I did not go out and purchase, was sponsored by people who have subscribed to my channel. They know that I have had, I hold video game makers, Bungie included, because for this to be, a AAA rated video game that costs, $500 million to make, I think the people who have watched my videos, and the channel's going through a bit of a revamp, but people who have watched my videos know that game makers like Bungie and publishers like Activision, I hold them under very high scrutiny, right? Because I'm a firm believer that whenever you put a ton of money into the mix, it's gonna get corrupted. Shortcuts are going to get taken. The game you promise you're going to get is not the game you're actually getting. The DLC effect that you promise you're getting is not going to be what you get. So I did not purchase Destiny 2. It was sponsored, and when I played the game, I immediately saw, remnants of Destiny 1, despite the fact that Bungie and Activision said that, hey, we wanted this to be a brand new game. And I've got the video clips in here somewhere. They said they want it to be a brand new game with brand new adventures and new weapons and new armor, only to flood us with a ton of old stuff that we already had, and a little bit, very minuscule, a very minute amount of brand new stuff. So going back to present time, so where we're at right now with the DLC, again, it was 4 missions. It took all about an hour to complete, and frankly, it really wasn't that breathtaking. For someone who had not played Curse of Osiris, for someone who had no intention on purchasing that DLC or this DLC, the Warmind, watching folks play it on stream did not spawn an influence to buy, right? It did not make me want to take my credit card down and plop it on the desk and buy it. It didn't make me want to take my debit card, pull it out, punch in the numbers, and buy the DLC. And for someone who has basically been away from Destiny for so long, totally, didn't even bother to pick up the controller when Curse of Osiris is out, just to kind of see how, the changes are. This was an opportunity that I personally feel was missed, to bring everybody in that, elected not to buy the Curse of Osiris DLC. And frankly, I'm happy that they did not, because I know a lot of people were saying, well, Jag, you can't say that the DLC isn't worth it if you haven't played it. No, because I just used an eye test that told me it was not going to be worth it. And when Curse of Osiris was out and people had time to mull it over, and we gave it a minute to breathe, and when the reviews started coming in, a lot of people echoed my same sentiments, that it was underlacking, it was very boring, and for a DLC it was boo-boo. Like, they didn't like it, right? So when these things come out, I use the eye test. Everything that I had seen for, everything I had saw for Warmind did not inspire confidence. It's 2017, the game came out in 2013 or 14. We are tired of fighting the same enemies. When you guys kind of did like the little mashup in Destiny 1 where you took our old enemies and you kind of gave them new abilities and pawned them off as a Tyking, like, okay, whatever, that was kind of cool, but that doesn't work this go round, especially when you just put Hive on ice. Like, what is that? These aren't beers that you put on ice. This isn't a bottle of champagne that you put on ice. We want new enemies, and we want them right goddamn now. Right goddamn now. I get it. The big update is allegedly coming in the fall. But if the majority of people who are still on this game, and it's not a lot, right? If they echo my sentiments, this game will not make it to see the fall, right? When I watched people play the game, it was more of the same old, same old. Go here, scan that, shoot this, hold this, wave of enemies off while I open something. It's literally Destiny 1. I will say this. If everything we have for Destiny 2 was inside of Destiny 1, no one could say that this game was not awesome. I would be singing its praises. Why? Because when I look at the way that the rollout happens and I look at the way that the DLC happens, it doesn't feel like the story follows a concise line. I feel like in some instances the plot is everywhere and you're left kind of just to piece it together. And if you're a smart person, if you can do thinking, like, fine, that's not a problem. But for as much people who want lore put in the game, lore is a more difficult thing to put in the game than a storyline that flows in a linear fashion, right? Putting a storyline in that flows in a linear fashion is easier to do than putting lore in. So I feel like on many occasions the storyline just jumps around. From Destiny 1 even to Destiny 2. We still don't know what happened to the Queen. We don't know what happened to the goddamn stranger. We don't know what happened to the Queen's brother. It's like they introduce people to us only to take them away, and it's like, well, what was the point of having them in the game in the first place, right? So I know that the big DLC is coming in the fall. My sentiments is if the game keeps trekking in the way that it's going, the game will not make it to see the fall, right? I understand that Bungie had a summit not too long ago where they invited a ton of YouTubers who have basically done Bungie's bidding and pimped out their audience to keep them on the Destiny hook to basically hear their feedback. And if you've ever been a part of corporate America, you know clear and present day what a dog and pony show is. My suggestion, my thoughts and opinions is that Summit was nothing more than a dog and pony show. Why do I say that? Because if Bungie was really truly interested in making a change in their game for the better, the only thing you had to do is just listen to the people from the beginning, right? Why go from 4v4 to 6v6? Why incorporate any of the old stuff from Destiny 1 if you wanted Destiny 2 to be a brand new game? Why do any of the following? So a lot of people in Destiny 1, 2013, 2014, whenever the game came out, let's say 2013. 2014. No, 13. Let's say 13. When Destiny 1 came out, 14. When Destiny 1 first came out, a lot of people were saying, man, it sure would be nice to be able to delete items from our post manager. It took Destiny, it took Bungie 3 years and 2 DLCs later, a game and 2 DLCs later to make that happen. That's unacceptable. Unacceptable. Something I did think was, kind of cool, and I think, I don't know how to phrase this. Maybe if you take certain nuances, styling cues, character cues from the Zol fight, I thought the Worm God and his existence, his being, I thought looked phenomenal, right? Whether you're talking about like Oryx or you're talking about I forget the dude's name from the first raid, and then Leviathan, the final boss that you fight in Leviathan, right? I think how they have like tiny players and these huge bosses, I think it looks good. It kind of takes me back to when Metroid was on GameCube, and Metroid was this tiny being and the bosses were like kind of huge. It kind of reminded me of that, watching players take on this Hive Worm God. So I thought that was pretty cool. What I don't like is I feel like right now Bungie's kind of doing things in a cheap manner by just putting in raid layers and not brand new full raids. If you're not taking your time to devote to full raids. Like, what is your time being spent on? Do a little bit of digging, you find out, oh, they're working on Destiny 3. Personally, I don't know anyone who's buying that shit. Not with the current state that Destiny 2 is in right now. Right? Again, I don't want to beat on a dead horse, because I've been the guy that's been saying this for a long time. I loathe the YouTubers a great deal that have been to the summit and were coming back saying the same thing. Did anybody see the clip? Someone put together a mashup where like news stations from all across the country were saying the exact same thing verbatim. It came out literally maybe like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, right? Every video that I had seen, every video that I had saw from each one of these YouTubers that got invited to the summit were all saying the same thing, right? It's almost like Bungie gave them these little cue cards and say, hey, stick to the cards, don't tell them anything just yet. And they all said the same thing, right? Oh, it's this new game mode that's coming out in the fall, but I can't talk about it, but you guys are gonna like it, and yada yada yada. Listen, I think when I go back and I think about the state of Destiny 2, there's a few people that I think are to blame. First is Bungie and Activision. I'm almost certain there were a few occasions where the project was not done and they rushed it out just for the sake of getting it out to say, hey, we made a deadline, we made our quota, the game's out there, right? Number two, I wholeheartedly blame YouTubers like Gathalion, the bald guy, Mezashon, 5000 watts, Triple Rec, T-Rex, who else am I missing? More Console, Mr. Fruit. I do like Mr. Fruit's videos. They're kind of funny, the few that I have seen. But everyone that I've just named who is basically using Destiny as a revenue stream for their channel, and I get it. What's hot, you have to make content on it, and you have to, you got to keep the cash box flowing. However, I think you owe it to your audience to be very objective. Like, you guys knew this game was in a shit state. There's no way on the planet I could have been the only guy who was basically saying don't buy Destiny 2 because of the way Destiny 1 was rolled out and the certain problems that Destiny 1 had, right? And there's no way after Destiny 2 came out and we played the game, right, I was the only one saying don't buy any of the DLCs if you hadn't already. Now, if you purchase a season pass, I get it. Your hands are kind of tied. There's only so much you can do. But for these people to still say, yeah, Destiny is great, and yeah, it's still a fun game, and even if you were in their streams, whether it be on YouTube or Twitch, and you said, well, I personally think the game sucks for reasons X, Y, and Z, and they would ban you from the chat. I know people who this has happened to on the Ball Guys channel, where they would ban them from the chat because you dare say something bad about Destiny, even if it was in fact rooted in truth. And they can't let that information, they can't let that kind of behavior slide. Why? Because they're in bed with Bungie. Because Bungie and Activision had him out to the studio. They flew him out on a Southwest Spirit flight, fed him a Hot Pocket dinner, and put him up in the Best Western and gave him, some game footage to copy on their little game capture card. That's not really my game capture card. And said, here, take this back for your YouTube channel. And then wipe your chin when we're done. Because that's the relationship, they can't, it's like, oh, well, I don't want to bite the hand that feeds me. Listen, a part of being a great content creator is holding game makers accountable when they need to be held accountable. Bungie is in this vacuum right now where it's like your players have given you so many chances. To anyone that's watching this, you don't owe Bungie anything. You don't owe Activision anything. As far as I'm concerned, we're in the time where now they owe us something. And I'm not talking about emotes. Excuse me. I'm not talking about aesthetics. Oh, here's some more armor that does absolutely nothing. We want a major investment on your behalf for having us put up with this tired ass game for as long as you have. Since 2013, 2014, people have been saying, allow me to delete things from my postmaster, and it takes you 3 to 4 years to make that happen. Since Destiny 1, when everybody was super excited, oh my god, we've got ships, oh crap, we've got exotic ships, oh this is so cool. Well, Destiny 2 with the exotic ships. But since Destiny 1, people have been saying, you know what would be cool? A space battle mode. Have they done it yet? No. It's not hard to make an epic game. You simply listen to what your player base is saying. This is probably why Anthem is taking so long to come out. I know Anthem was first slated for like Q1, Q2 2018, then it got slated to the fall, and now it's been pushed back to 2019. Why? Because they're probably looking at this like, yo, we don't want to have a Bungie shit show on our hands. They know the game has some major flaws, they're working through it. I only hope that they get it right. I only hope that every game manufacturer learns from Bungie and Activision's mistake and gets their projects right. Bungie putting everything behind a giant paywall. You can't put everything behind a giant paywall and still expect people to buy it, and you've got a subpar product. Bungie, you're in a state right now where you owe your player base something. This big update in the fall, what were you going to charge for it? 20, 40 bucks? I think y'all need to give that bad boy out for free, especially if you're already working on Destiny 3. And if you are already working on Destiny 3, and I think you are, it's a slap to every single one of your supporters' faces to say, we know this game's not 100% the best that we could make it, but yet and still, rather than hone in our time and focus and make it the best game possible, we're already going to work on the next one because we all know you guys are suckers and you're going to buy it anyway. Like I said, the DLC for 20 bucks, and for a lot of players, myself included, it's not that the DLC is only 20 bucks. It's that you expect a certain level of continuity. You expect a certain level of entertainment, and when it's not met, you're gonna drive away your customers. I'm gonna leave out this video with headlines from the Facebook groups, from Reddit, from the forums on Bungie.net, and just I was the guy who used to get so hype for these Twitch reveals. Owning my own business, I would schedule work around the Twitch reveals, like when Crota's In and Dark Below and House of Wolves came out in Destiny 1. I would make it so I'd go to work after I'd already had time to consume the new information. And when the new DLC was coming out, I would like save up all my engrams and have like all my experience nodes edge, you know, just at the very edge, so when I would complete something, once the DLC would drop, I would get all the brand new stuff, right? And I would level up, and then I could go back and help my friends who, you know, weren't in the same situation I was in and help them level. It was fun. It was an event. Now it's like they know they have players by the balls and they choose not to do the right thing. So I used to be the guy who was like, yeah, Destiny, it's a fun game, it's a great game. Now I'm the guy where I'm like, unless significant changes are made, I cannot wait for Bungie and Destiny to take their last breath. Period. It makes no sense why a game like Fortnite, a game that is free, can come up with updates like it's rapid fire, like it's going out of business. And a game like Bungie, $500 million budget, AAA title, has to take 8 hours on an engine to make a change. Like I said, I don't want this video to be too long, and it's probably at 10-15 minutes. Bungie, get your shit together. Players, hold the video game makers accountable. If you've got a YouTuber that you like to watch, hold them accountable. If you know the game is shit and they're still trying to sell it like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread or color TV, hold their asses accountable. We know they make money from the content that they make, right? But if the game is terrible, they need to acknowledge it. They need to acknowledge it before that's what the general tone of the community becomes, just so they can make Destiny hate videos and make a couple more dimes off that. And if you're a YouTuber, you need to be better. You owe it to the people who support you, because not everybody is in your situation and has a budget for, you know, 15 video games a month or whatever the case is. You need to be better, or you will lose your viewership to somebody who is more objective. Might be me, might be another YouTuber who is very objective and who has been objective when it comes to these video games. And if Anthem comes out and it's trash, we're gonna have that conversation too. Bungie, you really want to change? You really want to make the game great? Don't just invite the tier 1 people. Invite the people who don't have a strong viewership, because they're the ones who are really in your game. They're the ones who play the game not because it makes them money. Guys, if you like the video, like the video. If you dislike the video, dislike the video. Comment, rate, subscribe. I want to start a dialogue. I want to talk to you guys about this. Okay. Yeah, so we'll go ahead and put in the headlines from the forum, from the Facebook group pages, and some extra goodies for you guys. If you haven't bought the DLC and you're one of the few like myself who didn't buy the season pass, do yourself a favor, don't. If you truly want it, maybe you wait till the game goes on sale and you can get the base game and the DLC on sale for like 20-40 bucks. Do not buy the first 2 DLCs. They are not worth it. Guys, I appreciate you for watching the video. Like I said, comment, rate, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.